As political pundits look to poll numbers as a preview of Election Day, filmmaker Michael Moore is looking at the people behind the numbers. His new anti-Trump documentary, Michael Moore in Trumpland, makes the case for Hillary Clinton, but explains why Trump supporters are the reason Moore thinks the Republican nominee will actually win this election. Listen to this.
It was an amazing thing to see. Donald Trump came to the Detroit Economic Club and stood there in front of the Ford Motor executives and said, if you close these factories as you're planning to do in Detroit and build them in Mexico, I'm going to put a 35% tariff on those cars when you send them back, and nobody's going to buy them. It was an amazing thing to see. No politician, Republican or Democrat, had ever said anything like that to these executives. He is the human Molotov cocktail that they've been waiting for. Although they lost their jobs, although they've been foreclosed on by the bank, next came the divorce, and now the wife and kids are gone. The car's been repoed. They haven't had a real vacation in years. They're stuck with the Obamacare bronze plan where you can't even get a Percocet. They've essentially lost everything they had, except one thing. The one thing that doesn't cost them a cent and is guaranteed to them by the American Constitution, the right to vote.
That emphatic acknowledgement from Michael Moore is now going viral on the internet after fans added music. They added moving images of Trump supporters to the original version. Joining me right now is telecom union worker David Kemper. David, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good, good. How are you doing?
So you were a Democrat, but you say you will be voting for Trump now.
Correct.
Why?
Actually, the last couple elections, I have been leaning more towards the conservative ticket for just the way with dealing with some of my union issues. I believe he is talking about the economy, job growth, safety for my family. Talking about the national debt.
You know, it's interesting because when you look at polls, actually, people trust Trump more than they trust Hillary when it comes to the economy. We're looking at this new Fox News poll, and he gets 50% on the economy. She gets 46%. He's talking about rolling back regulations, talking about cutting taxes. You're a believer. You do believe that will move the needle on economic growth.
Yes, I do. Originally back in, what was it, 2002, when there was Ross Perot against Bush and Clinton, I did vote for Perot. He was a businessman, and I thought he was going to clean up Washington. Now, 20 years later, we have Trump, and I'm looking for an outsider, someone who's going to clean up Washington, provide us with decent health care, good jobs, and want to address this national debt that keeps ballooning.
Do you think more of your colleagues in unions are doing the same thing? What's your sense from the unions in general? Because we all know that, you know, broadly speaking, it feels like the unions are in Hillary's camp, but maybe not.
No, from what I hear from a lot of my union friends, that a lot of them are split. You have the strong Hillary supporters, the strong Trump supporters, and you still have a lot of undecideds. You have some that just say, I cannot vote for Hillary and I cannot vote for Trump. But the Trump factor is that he's talking about jobs, he's talking about the economy, he's talking about health care. I know with us personally, my family is health care is one of our biggest issues, where we have to actually get a second job in order to pay for some of the health care costs because we're on the high deductible plan.
Wow, and that's another part of the documentary. Michael Moore explains why Trump's unfavorability is his strength, not his downfall. He also talks about the cost of Obamacare. Listen to this. I want to get your reaction.
Okay.
There's more of the former middle class than there are in the millionaire class. So on November 8th, the dispossessed will walk into the voting booth, be handed a ballot, close the curtain, and take that lever, or felt pen or touchscreen, and put a big X in the box by the name of the man who has threatened to upend and overturn the very system that has ruined their lives. Donald J. Trump. They see that the elites who ruined their lives hate Trump. Corporate America hates Trump. Wall Street hates Trump. The career politicians hate Trump. The media hates Trump. Joe Blow, Steve Blow, Bob Blow, Billy Bob Blow, all the blows get to go and blow up the whole system because it's your right. Trump's election is going to be the biggest ever recorded in human history. And it will feel good.
Wow, that was powerful. And it's from Michael Moore's documentary. David, do you agree? Do you think his unfavorability actually is attracting union workers like yourself?
I believe so, yes. People want to hear what the issues are. It's when you turn on the news now, you are hearing it's always a gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. I've turned off the media. Nothing against your show or anything, but I've just kind of stopped watching the hit pieces on each other.
Yeah.
I want to know what the issues are, and he's the one who's talking about the issues: jobs, healthcare, the economy, the debt, safety for my family. And that is something that has been really enticing, I know, to my family and a lot of my co-union members, too.
David, every member of the, I was just going to ask you, it's Dagen McDowell, every member of the political class, really every member of the media, we're all trying to gauge how many people are going to come out of the woodwork to vote for Trump who are not being polled. Do you have a sense of all your friends and family members and who actually will go and vote in less than 2 weeks?
I think there is quite a silent majority. I know he has galvanized a lot of people's thoughts and just the way he's thinking about stuff. But I believe there will be a higher amount of turnout than what has been in previous elections for independents, union members, and Republicans.
Wow. Kat Timpf.
Yeah, what about those? You mentioned a lot of your coworkers are undecided. Are they trying to make a decision that you know of, or are they just saying maybe I won't vote?
A lot of them are, well, I can't vote for Hillary, I can't vote for Trump. And some of them are going to be voting for Johnson, or some will just not even vote for the president, and they'll just vote on the down ballot for what they believe in.
Really powerful. Do you think his plans will, in fact, create jobs?
I hope so. There was originally back in the early 80s when I became a voting age, so I'm just kind of dating myself. I'm 47. Richard Gephardt, who was a Democrat at that time, talked about tariffing companies that were not producing and moving their jobs over to other countries, and now Trump is talking about that.
Yeah.
A lot of my union members are worried about losing their jobs, losing them to outsourcing, sent them to Mexico, to China. To other foreign countries that offer cheap labor, then bringing the products back into the U.S. I mean, you have to look at what happened with Michigan and also Indiana with Carrier. They left, and then you have Ford leaving all their small cars going to Mexico.
Right. We just heard from the CEO of Ford, and he's going to wait till after the election to see if in fact, he will change that plan. David, good to see you. Thanks so much for thanks for joining us.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
We appreciate it. David Kemp for joining us. So the message is resonating, but also the message of Obamacare being so expensive. Premiums going to skyrocket next year.
And I think it's not just the plan itself or the money itself. It's that, again, just like if you like your plan, you can keep your plan. Again, this is something they were saying would not happen. And by they, that includes Hillary Clinton.
Well, and workers' plans are also changing. People who get their health insurance through their jobs, because costs are skyrocketing, right. You have businesses that are pushing people into plans with fewer options.
Take it on yourself.
You don't have doctor choice. Well, you have higher deductibles. You have higher co-pays. So everybody feels this and understands that it is Obamacare that's changed the landscape.
Well, and people don't believe Hillary Clinton. So a lot of union workers, and I've talked to a couple of them, that she's operating in the best interest of herself, and she's running to pat herself. And Donald Trump doesn't need this job, so they think he's going to operate in the best interest of this country and not himself.
Yeah, for sure. Coming up, the Cubs come roaring back in the World Series last night, taking Game 2 over the Indians. We'll have the highlights.